Historically, summer and fall is when China's manufacturing sector prepares intensively for the American holiday shopping season. Orders flood factories from the Yangtze River Delta to the Pearl River Delta. However, this September, this dynamic industrial zone has fallen eerily silent. Michael Liu, founder and president of Brothers Box, a renowned gift box manufacturer in Dongguan, remarked that May to October typically marked their peak shipping season. His workforce, comprising 240 individuals, catered to major clients such as Disney and Marks & Spencer. As Christmas approached, his firm would capitalize immensely. But this year, the 51-year-old founder observed a sharp drop in orders. In the past years, a Dongguan supplier striving to meet Amazon's demands would initiate vast hiring drives. Yet this year, they've maintained a minimum wage of $2.19 without any new hiring. By comparison, in 2019, Foxconn in Zhengzhou, while catering to Apple, offered summer temps a wage of $4.50, which has now declined to $2.30. Michael Liu's concerns are not isolated. The Nikkei Asian Review reports that Dongguan, famously termed the quote, world's factory, confronts a severe order contraction. Numerous business owners and executives voice similar worries. A mere year ago, even during the lockdown, China's export figures were soaring. With Christmas orders stacking up, Dongguan, as the quote, world's factory, was bustling to the point of frenzy. Fast forward to now, 8 months post-reopening, the usual orders from the US and Europe have been redirected to other nations. Industry stalwarts such as Quanta, Apple, and HP have relocated production to Thailand, Vietnam, and Mexico. Furthermore, retail juggernauts like Walmart and Amazon place fewer orders with Chinese suppliers. Current data indicates a sharp 40% decrease in orders for Taiwanese factories in China, manageable without new hires. Official data echoes this downturn. China's exports have seen a 3-month decline. In July, a year-on-year dip of 14.5% marked the steepest since February 2020, the pandemic's pinnacle. Exports to the US declined 23% year-on-year, and to the EU, they tumbled by 21%. Behind these figures lies a stark reality. The once vibrant Dongguan appears desolate. Peak hour hubs like bus and train stations, formerly teeming with life, are now noticeably sparse. Buses, which used to be packed, now cruise with numerous vacant seats, and even the Guangzhou train station has seen a drop in its usual crowds. Dongguan's industrial zones, particularly the once thriving food streets, are now dotted with vacant shops and ubiquitous for rent signs. This signifies more than just a dip in footfall, it marks the end of an epoch. The global economic landscape is undergoing profound shifts. Astonishingly, by 2023, over half of U.S. companies have shifted from made in China to neighbor-made or production in Southeast Asia and India. Japan and South Korea are also following this trend. This shift is particularly evident in the electronics sector. Dell, the world's third-largest computer corporation, has already announced that by 2024, their chips will no longer be produced in China. Moreover, they're urging suppliers to transition half of their production out of China by 2025. Consequently, 30% of their manufacturing has already exited China. Both Microsoft and Amazon are initiating relocations. Renowned manufacturers including Foxconn, Quanta, and China's Luxshare Precision are setting up operations elsewhere. In essence, China's manufacturing industry is confronting unparalleled challenges. Rewind to 2020 during the COVID-19 outbreak. Chinese factory shutdowns led to a downturn in Apple sales. This prompted Apple to diversify its production, starting with AirPods in Vietnam. Then watches, iPads, and now even major iPhone and MacBook suppliers are gradually moving out of China. Concerns about U.S. labor costs are being countered by numerous other low-cost factors. For instance, General Electric's decision to relocate its water heater production from China to the U.S. resulted in a surprising discovery. U.S. production costs were 5% lower than in China. Fuyao Glass founder Cao Dewang echoed this sentiment. He highlighted that many U.S. production costs, beyond just labor, are considerably lower than in China. For example, China's costs for land, logistics, financing, taxation, electricity, and natural gas significantly surpass those in the US. Technological advancements, especially in automation and robotics, are amplifying the cost advantages of Western nations. This suggests China's prominence in the global supply chain might diminish in the future. China, once a magnet for global business, now presents a dramatically altered landscape. Entry into China has become complex. From WeChat's health QR codes to facial recognition payment systems, foreign entrepreneurs often feel they're under constant surveillance. Speeding when driving can lead to an instant facial scan followed by an automatic fine deduction from WeChat. With such granularity in financial oversight, local governments can closely monitor residents' expenditures, with any anomalies potentially triggering tax investigations. What are the results of these changes? Foreign entries in the first quarter of this year nosedived to 50,000, a mere 1.4% of 2019's numbers for the same period. Once teeming with international visitors, airports in cities like Guangzhou and Xiamen now see significantly reduced foreign footfall. With China's rigorous tech-based monitoring, almost every monetary transaction is under the government's radar. For international businessmen, this heightened transparency presents a daunting challenge, raising the question, how do they effectively reintegrate into this evolving supply chain? Is China's economic growth truly sustainable? Some insights from experts might raise eyebrows. Data from 2021 reveals China's total population stands at 1.42 billion. Of this, 740 million are in the workforce. However, there's a startling revelation. China classifies anyone who works even just an hour a week as employed, a definition that diverges significantly from global norms. Further, of these 740 million workers, 60 million are in social, management, and services, roles that aren't direct economic value generators. This implies that only 680 million individuals are genuinely contributing to the economy, and they bear the responsibility of sustaining the entire 1.42 billion. In essence, every active worker supports approximately 2.09 individuals. Compared to other global standards, China's ratio is notably elevated. For context, in nations like India, Pakistan, and Myanmar, the figure is around 1.5. Beyond the myriad challenges China might be facing, sheer employment and demographic metrics highlight the enormous strain on the nation. The working population is grappling with escalating family responsibilities, eroding incomes, declining purchasing power, and even diminished inclination to raise children. The stark drop in birth rates from 9 million to 7 million underscores this trend. What is the root cause? It can be traced back to the Chinese Communist Party's economic blueprints. Predominantly state-driven sectors have a penchant for hiring top-tier skilled professionals, sidelining a vast majority of potential employees. The state enterprise's market dominance has shrunk the presence of small to medium private businesses, which traditionally offer numerous employment avenues. Consequently, the burden of the average worker intensifies, adding to daily life challenges. Assuming short-term political and economic turbulence can be resolved, the entrenched imbalance between workforce numbers and the overall population is a profound issue potentially needing decades of redress. Any emergent state structure in China, centralized or decentralized, will grapple with the Chinese Communist Party's legacy, especially on demographic and economic fronts. The ensuing challenges might require over a decade of stabilization efforts. An authentic economic revival seems distant, perhaps not within the next 20 years. Given this backdrop, would global enterprises still see China as a viable investment destination? China stands at a pivotal historical crossroad. Beyond challenges with global supply chains and demographics, the nation is experiencing a silent yet profound rift socially and politically. Post-pandemic, China's economic trajectory has been waning, with societal inertia setting in. Skyrocketing unemployment, a slew of private sector insolvencies, large-scale foreign capital flight, coupled with prevailing lying down sentiment, the term for general malaise in life, and lukewarm consumer and investment landscapes all indicate a looming political tempest. The scale of this crisis surpasses external anticipations. Trust in China's systems has dried up, and common ground has crumbled. Under Xi Jinping's stewardship and the party leads everything ethos, a sweeping push for nationalization has alienated the middle class, entrepreneurs, and the youth, eroding faith in the governing body. The Chinese Communist Party's overarching control, combined with its insular state on international dialogue, particularly evident in its dealings with nations like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the US, reflects an almost adversarial demeanor. This confrontational tone is glaringly apparent in events like the China-US trade skirmish, Taiwan Strait dynamics, and even scandals like that involving Huawei heiress Meng Wanzhou or the Fukushima nuclear plant's release of wastewater, which are loaded with palpable discord and division. Deep-seated fractures also permeate the very leadership and bureaucratic fabric of China. Post-lockdown, China's administrative machinery oscillates between a risk-averse mindset and a deteriorating economy, rendering it virtually impotent. Across the spectrum, from business moguls and the middle class to intellectuals and the bureaucracy, a pervasive lie-low approach prevails. The current political ambiance in China eerily resembles the calm before a storm, surface tranquility masking underlying tumult. A transformative, structural, and epoch-making political shift is in the offing. Against this backdrop, global capital and supply chains recognize the existential threat they once faced in China.